Hello, this is Eco Threads Crocheting Sustainably, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet a mini market bag. Please note that these tutorials are meant to go hand in hand with my pattern booklet, but they both contain the same information. Today we're covering the mini market bag pattern 5. Here's what the final product looks like, but before we get into the pattern, here's the details of the project. This project falls under the storage category, and now we're going to move on to the materials. So you're going to need a 4mm crochet hook, pink full worsted yarn, but here I'm using lilac, a darning needle, scissors, and stitch markers are highly recommended. In this case, I'm using a scrap piece of yarn. So you can use this for a small purse. Skills you'll learn are working in the round, making bag handles, and making a mesh stitch. Stitches that are used include a chain, slip stitch, single crochet, and a double crochet. The final dimensions of this project are approximately 8 by 11 inches excluding the handles. The level of difficulty is a 1.5 out of 3. Going into the pattern notes, this pattern begins with a chain foundation row, but as you add stitches onto both ends, you begin to work in the round. Mark the first stitch of each round with a stitch marker and move it up as you go. This pattern will include notes on how to utilize and use your stitches using the stitch markers. As you start building up your bag, the bottom and the base of your bag will begin to curl up into a spiral. However, as you continue your rounds, it will straighten out. When this happens, keep the right side on the outside with the wrong side facing inside. When creating the middle of the bag, the lines from the double crochet stitches will all line up. When crocheting into a space, it refers to the space under the chain stitch where there's a gap of empty space. When crocheting into a double crochet stitch in steps 3 to 4, it's referring to the double crochet stitch you made in the previous round. Single crochet 1 in chain 1 space refers to the single crochet into the chain 1 space, which was created by the chain stitch from the previous row. Count the chains in round 32 as stitches. Moving on to the actual pattern, we're going to start with step 1, which is the foundation. With your yarn, you're going to start with a slip knot. You're going to chain 40 as your foundation row. Once you have it, it should look like this, and then just double check your chains to make sure that it's 40. Once you know that it's 40, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Moving on to step 2, which is where we'll create the bottom of the bag. You're going to start round 1 with single crocheting into the second chain from the hook. You're going to mark this stitch that you just created with your stitch marker, and this essentially works in the first stitch of the round. Here I just create a small knot just so it doesn't become undone. Next, you're going to single crochet 38 down your entire chain into the back loop only of your chain where you will normally insert your hook. When you single crochet 1 into each of the next 38 stitches, you'll find that you end on the second to last chain of your round. Once you've reached the end like I have here, you're going to have one more chain to go into, and you're going to create 3 single crochets into that same chain. So 1, 2, we've just completed this side with a total of 42 stitches. Now you're going to turn your work and you're going to single crochet on the other side of this chain. Here's where you insert your first stitch, and remember to crochet over your tail end into your stitches to hide it. And then you're going to single crochet 38 more. So you just created your first one, and then you're going to create 38 more for a total of 39 single crochets down the other side of your chain. Here's how the other side of your chain should look. Once you've made it to the end, you should find that you have one more stitch to go into, and you're going to single crochet 3 into this one chain once again to finish off this side. Again, you should have 42 stitches, and don't forget to stretch your foundation to make sure that the tail end that you crocheted over is sitting nicely with your project, which should make it longer. Now you will officially be working in the round, and you should have a total of 84 stitches, 42 on each side. Now we're going to be crocheting 1 single crochet in each stitch around your project for rounds 2 to 10. Essentially, you'll be single crocheting 1 in each stitch for a total of 9 rounds. Now keep in mind that after each round you should have 84 total single crochet stitches. Remember to place your stitch marker back into that first stitch that you created right after you single crocheted into that stitch where the stitch marker used to be. You're going to continue working 1 single crochet into each stitch like so, and I will see you guys on round 11 for step 3, which is where we will create the middle of the bag. Here I just want to show you guys what your project will look like when it starts curling. It'll look like a spiral, and just know that when you work more rounds, your work will eventually straighten out. Here I've just completed my rounds all the way to 10, and here's how it should look like, and I'm just counting it here to make sure that I'm on round 11. Now, like I said before, we're going to create the middle, which is the mesh stitch. Now to start round 11, you're going to be single crocheting 1, which is where your stitch marker space should be, but I've just taken mine out. And then you're going to replace your stitch marker into that stitch. Then you're going to chain 3. Skip 1, go into that second stitch, and you're going to double crochet 1 into that second stitch. Now you're going to chain 1 and repeat this sequence 41 times of skipping a stitch and double crocheting 1 into that second stitch, and then chaining 1. You're going to continue this pattern going all the way around your bag. Of skipping a stitch, double crocheting 1, and then chain 1, which should look like this. Here's how it should look like once you finish this round. You can see that my mesh stitch is starting to form. Now remember that you end on a chain 1, so you should already have your chain 1, and now you're just going to slip stitch into the second chain stitch that you made to join. So count 1, 2, and then go into that chain stitch, and then slip stitch to join. To create rounds 12 to 26, you're going to do the pattern of chaining 3, double crochet 1 into the double crocheting stitch from the last round, which is right here. Chain 1, and then you're going to repeat this sequence 41 times of double crocheting 1 in the double crochet stitch from your last round, and then chaining 1. So again, double crochet 1 into that double crochet stitch, and then chain 1. You're going to repeat this all the way around until you reach the end of your round. Your project should start beginning to look like this. You will now see that the lines are starting to line up. So again, once you reach the end of each round, you should end off with a chain 1, and then you're going to slip stitch into that second chain stitch that you created. And just a tip for you, the chain 3 that you create essentially acts as 1 double crochet and 1 chain. You chain 2, so it acts as a double crochet, and you chain 1. You will see that we'll be doing this from rounds 12 to 26, just so that we can make the middle part of our bag. So keep doing the same pattern. In the beginning of your round, chain 3, the rest of your round, you're going to go around double crocheting 1 into the double crochet stitch and then chaining 1 41 times. And then to end your round, you're going to slip stitch into the second chain and repeat this cycle until you've worked up into your 26th round. So here's what your bag should look like so far. So here I've just completed round 26, so we're going to move on to step 4, which is creating the top of the bag. So for round 27, we're going to single crochet in that chain 1, which is right here, and then we're going to mark this stitch with our stitch marker. Again, I'm just tying a loose knot so that it doesn't move out of place. Next, we're going to be repeating the sequence of single crocheting 1 into the chain 1 space and single crocheting 1 in the double crochet stitch. We're going to do this sequence 41 times, going around the bag. So here I'm just finishing up round 27. You're going to finish off by single crocheting 1 into that last chain 1 space, and here's how your rounds should be looking so far. You should have a total of 84 stitches at the end of this round, so you can double check. So to complete rounds 28 through 31, you're going to single crochet 1 into each stitch around your bag. By doing so, you will have 84 stitches at the end of each of these rounds, and again you're going to work from round 28 to 31. Again, replacing your stitch marker into the first stitch of each round and moving it up as you go along. Okay, I've just finished round 31, so this is how your project should be looking so far. So I'm going to move on to round 32, which is step 5, creating the strap handles. So to start this round, we're going to be single crocheting 14. So take off your stitch marker, single crochet 1, and then replace your stitch marker again into that first stitch that you just created. And then single crochet 13 more. This will have created 14 total single crochets. Now, once you finish that, we're going to chain 60. Now, once you chain 60, you're going to skip 22 stitches, so count 22 single crochets from when you created the first single crochet before you started chaining 60. You're going to go into the 23rd stitch, and then you're going to run your finger along the chain on the right side just to ensure that it's straight all the way down, making sure that your chain isn't twisted. And once you make sure that it's straight, you're going to be single crocheting 1 into that 23rd single crochet stitch from your last round. Again, still make sure that your chain is straight and double check that it's not twisted. After this, you're going to single crochet 19 around. And now we're going to chain 60 again, repeating the same thing we did on the last side. Once you chain 60, again you're going to skip 22 stitches from the previous round. And then you're going to single crochet 1 into the 23rd stitch, ensuring to again make sure that your chain is straight when you attach it with the single crochet. You're going to finish off the round by single crocheting 5 to complete the last of your stitches, and then you should have a total of 160 stitches, remembering to include the chains as stitches as well. So this row essentially creates the placement of the handles with 22 stitches of space in between each of the handles. To start round 33, we're going to single crochet 14. Remember to keep your stitch marker in its appropriate place. So we just created our first single crochet, so we're going to crochet 13 more. This should bring you all the way to the chain space, so you're essentially single crocheting 1 into each chain across of your chain handle. So when you're crocheting across of the chain, make sure that your chain length is straight. Just keep your chain straight because it tends to flip to the back side easily. So again, single crochet 1 into each stitch across of that chain handle, and I will meet you when we reach the other side. Okay, so we've just made it to the other side of the chain handle, so I'm just going to finish up my last couple stitches. And then once I'm done single crocheting 60 across that handle, I'm going to single crochet into each stitch like normally to my other chain, which should be a total of 20 single crochets before I reach my chain again. So now that I'm reaching my chain handle again, I'm going to repeat the same steps as last time, which is just placing one single crochet into each chain stitch across the handle. You should go into 60 stitches in total with your single crochets, and then go across to the other side. Okay, so here I'm just finishing up going across with my handle with my single crochets. Once you reach the end of this chain handle length, you're going to single crochet 6, which should be your final stitches in this round. You should end with a total of 160 stitches, and you can double check if you'd like to make sure that you didn't miss or increase any stitches. Here's how your project should be looking so far, and here's how your handles should look, so you can see that they are starting to form your bag. Moving on to rounds 34 to 37, we're going to single crochet 1 into each stitch around of your bag. This builds up the length of your handles, making sure that they are wide enough. Here I'm just finishing up round 37 with my final single crochets. This should mean that you are left with 160 stitches. And for round 38, it is also single crocheting 1 in each stitch around. So as you're finishing up your final single crochets, again, you should always have 160 stitches at the end of these rounds. You're going to remove your stitch marker, and then you're going to be slip stitching into that stitch and chaining 1 to fasten off. And you're going to complete this project by weaving in all of your ends. This is what the final product should look like. As you can see, instead of using pink for this pattern like I did the first time, I did use lilac just so you guys can see what it would look like if I used different colors. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for following this tutorial. Thanks for watching this episode of Eco Threads. I hope you learned something new, and I appreciate you for all your support. Mahalo.